In 2011, Boeing announced the 737 MAX, a sleek, fuel-efficient update to its best-selling jetliner. Promised to save airlines millions in fuel costs, the new plane quickly became popular worldwide. But beneath the shiny exterior, a critical software system was quietly being developed, one that would soon make headlines for all the wrong reasons. To improve handling with the larger engines, Boeing introduced the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS. This automated software was designed to push the plane's nose down if sensors detected a stall risk. However, MCAS became a hidden force controlling the aircraft, one pilots were barely trained to understand. On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 took off from Jakarta, Indonesia. Just minutes into the flight, the aircraft began behaving erratically. The nose pitched down repeatedly, confusing the pilots. Despite their efforts to regain control, the plane crashed into the Java Sea, killing all 189 people on board. It was the first fatal crash involving the 737 MAX. In the aftermath of the Lion Air crash, investigators focused on the aircraft's black boxes. Early data pointed to a malfunctioning angle of attack sensor, which had falsely triggered the MCAS system. Yet, Boeing assured airlines that the 737 MAX was safe, calling the crash an isolated incident. Behind closed doors, concerns were mounting. Just 5 months later, on March 10, 2019, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed shortly after takeoff from Addis Ababa. Once again, the aircraft experienced uncontrollable nose-down commands. All 157 passengers and crew perished. 2 crashes within months of each other, both involving the 737 MAX, sent shockwaves through the aviation world. In the wake of the second crash, countries around the world began grounding the Boeing 737 MAX. China acted first, followed by the European Union, Canada, and eventually the United States. For the first time in years, Boeing's flagship aircraft was pulled from the skies. The aviation giant faced a storm of scrutiny, lawsuits, and public outrage. Investigators uncovered that in both crashes, the MCAS system had been activated based on faulty sensor data. The software had repeatedly forced the aircraft's nose downward, while the pilots, unaware of how to disable it, fought for control. It was a chilling realization: a single piece of software, hidden deep in the system, had contributed to 2 catastrophic crashes. One of the most shocking revelations was that many pilots had not even been told about the MCAS system. Boeing had marketed the 737 MAX as similar enough to older models that additional simulator training wasn't required, saving airlines money, but costing lives. Pilots were left unprepared to handle a system they didn't know existed. As investigations deepened, a trove of internal Boeing emails surfaced, revealing a disturbing culture of cost-cutting and concealment. Some employees mocked regulators, while others warned internally that the plane was designed by clowns. The public now saw what insiders had feared: Boeing had rushed the MAX to market, prioritizing profits over safety. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, came under heavy criticism for its close relationship with Boeing. It was revealed that Boeing had been allowed to self-certify parts of the 737 MAX, including the MCAS system. Lawmakers and the public demanded answers. How could such a critical flaw go unnoticed in one of the world's most regulated industries? Behind every headline were grieving families. Victims from over 30 countries lost their lives in the 2 crashes. Heartbroken relatives testified before lawmakers, carried photos of their loved ones, and demanded accountability. Their voices cut through the corporate noise, reminding the world that this wasn't just a tech failure, it was a human tragedy. Under growing pressure, Boeing issued public apologies, expressing sorrow for the crashes. Yet at the same time, the company denied wrongdoing, claiming pilots should have been able to handle the malfunction. This mixed messaging deepened public distrust, and critics accused Boeing of deflecting responsibility while families mourned and investigations continued. In response to the crisis, aviation regulators worldwide overhauled their certification processes. The FAA introduced stricter oversight on aircraft software, and Boeing was required to improve pilot training and transparency. These reforms aim to restore trust and prevent future tragedies, marking a new chapter in aviation safety. Boeing engineers rewrote the MCAS software to prevent false activations and added redundant sensor inputs. Extensive simulator tests were conducted with pilots worldwide. Safety experts scrutinized every line of code, ensuring the system would no longer endanger flights. This painstaking process was critical to regaining public confidence. After nearly 2 years grounded, the Boeing 737 MAX was cleared to fly again in late 2020. Regulators imposed new training requirements and rigorous safety checks. Airlines cautiously resumed flights, but public confidence remained fragile. The jet that promised innovation now carried a heavy legacy. Even after its return to the skies, Boeing faced countless lawsuits from victims' families and airlines. Settlements reached billions of dollars, and investigations into corporate practices continued. The crisis served as a costly reminder that cutting corners in safety comes with devastating consequences. The Boeing 737 MAX crisis reshaped the aviation industry worldwide. Airlines reconsidered fleet choices, regulators tightened oversight, and manufacturers prioritized transparency. Trust, once shaken, had to be rebuilt, with safety as the non-negotiable priority for the future of flight. The 737 MAX crisis exposed the dangers of pushing technology too fast without thorough safety measures. Innovation is essential, but it must never outpace responsibility. This tragedy serves as a cautionary tale for all industries balancing progress and protection. The Boeing 737 MAX crisis left the flying public wary and anxious. Airlines worked hard to reassure passengers, implementing new safety protocols and transparency measures. But rebuilding trust in a complex industry remains a long and ongoing challenge. The Boeing 737 MAX crisis stands as a sobering reminder of the price of oversight failures and corporate negligence. It changed aviation forever, spurring reforms that prioritize safety over speed. As technology soars ahead, this tragedy reminds us that human lives must always come first.